First story. Insurance company tries to screw family, gets nailed. This is a story that happened to my family many years ago. The year was 1987-1988, and I was a college senior. My brother, 3 years younger than I am, and was a sophomore in high school. My parents had just finished remodeling our home, especially the kitchen and bedrooms, and had taken a trip to Florida. My brother decided to have his girlfriend over for dinner and decided to cook her French fries. Now, the new stove was some sort of 80s ceramic cooktop. I cannot remember the brand name, but I do remember you could not tell if the stove was on or off, except for an orange light. These kinds of stovetops only heat the pan. There is no gas or electric burner. You literally cannot tell if the stove is on other than putting your hand on it. It is ridiculously stupid design and probably not made anymore. It wasn't induction. So my idiot brother pours oil in the pan to make the French fries and either forgets to turn the stove off or doesn't see the orange light that it's still on. He then goes into the other room. Did you know that hot oil does not evaporate? It just keeps getting hotter. Well, the oil eventually explodes all over the brand new cabinets and immediately sets the kitchen on fire. Bro has just enough time to grab the dog, girlfriend, and call fire department before running out of the house. The fire department is amazing and knocks fire down after only burning out the brand new kitchen and dining room. Significant structural and smoke damage, but the house is still intact. I will not get into what happened to bro, but suffice to say he had to hide in the woods for a few days. Now this is where it gets good. My crazy father has a giant filling system. All paper where he has the giant metal racks in the basement where everything ever purchased is in an accordion file on the metal shelving and some sort of ridiculous filing system that only he can use. Every receipt since 1963. The Vogans would be proud. So once the dust settles, my father calls the insurance company to file a claim. As we all know, insurance companies tend to be large, greedy, bureaucratic, crabby shows with zero interest in helping people. Insurance company starts asking for receipts, all of them. And father goes into his filing system from hell and begins producing every single receipt the insurance company asks for. Now understand that the house is unlivable at this point. The smoke damage was pretty severe and they are stalling. Finally, they come back with an offer that is ridiculously low. Now my father is not a calm person, and he hates insurance companies and lawyers more than anything. As a very successful businessman, he has had his share of lawsuits and takes particular joy in suing crooked lawyers and insurance companies. So he goes nuts when they make this lowball offer and immediately files suit against them for violating the homeowner's policy. In the meantime, he has to find suitable living arrangements for family, deal with agents, get contractor estimates, and so on. I asked my father why he didn't just take the money and begin rebuilding, and he says these jerks do this to people all the time, and people have to take the money in order to rebuild, but I'm going to fight them. So he begins painstakingly researching the policy with his broker. Fast forward a few months and I'm home for the summer and to work on rebuilding the house. The entire family is working on the house when there is a knock on the door. My brother answers and the guy says, "Are you X?" My brother says yes. "Consider yourself served." The look on my brother's face was just priceless, and we were hysterical. He did not understand and my father said, "I'm suing you." My father sued my brother for negligence. The same insurance company provided us with a contents policy as well as homeowner's insurance. See where this is going? The insurance company would have had to represent my brother under the homeowner's policy. The insurance company called the next week settled the case in full. The next year, insurance law in my state was permanently changed to prevent that from ever happening again. Edit. I just searched the local newspaper archives, and the fire took place on the 22nd of April, 1987. This would have made me a junior in college and my brother a senior in high school. Update. So I just spoke to my dad, and here are a few more details to the story. For those saying the story is not true because a policy is a policy and it's all spelled out, the fact that he had every receipt is important because after he produced all of them, the insurance company literally said, "We are not paying you the final $20,000 of the claim. Feel free to sue us." They knew it would cost him about that much to file suit, so he wasn't having any of that nonsense. If you think about it, insurance companies screwing policyholders like that would save them a ton of money, and most people would simply just settle. Back in 1987, you absolutely could sue a family member for negligence under the same insurance company that had multiple policies on your home. The insurance law, rule, policy, whatever loophole he found, was changed forever in my state after that suit. They did not settle the next week. His lawyer got a call the very next day. I did ask if he had a copy of the suit, and there was a long pause, as if he was mentally finding a triplicate form. "I don't think so," he said. I would have asked him about the law firm he used, but he ended up suing them 10 years later on a completely different matter. And yes, he won. Next story. Send the police for everything? Okay. So after spending 4 years as a retail guard, mall cop, I got an ankle injury that put an end to my ability to walk around for long periods of time. I destroyed all the cartilage in my left ankle, so it was bone-on-bone grinding action. Just happened from years of pounding the pavement. I was a full-time employee through the company, so they had to provide me with 40 hours of work a week. If they couldn't provide me work, I still got paid. They started me with light duties at the head office, which ended up getting me noticed by the company's alarm monitoring division. I was upskilled on my license and put in their division. For those who don't know what an alarm monitoring division is, it was my job to monitor the alarm system that you have in your house, business, whatever. Follow the instructions and make whatever calls were necessary based on your account setup. We had one type of video alarm system that was motion activated on a dual BIR/heat system. Basically, the system had to see both heat and motion to trigger the alarm. When this system is installed correctly, it is amazing. However, 90% of installations are done how the customer wants it, which means they don't work properly. I was one of 2 people who would finalize the installations of the video alarm systems, which was confirming the locations of the cameras, getting some test footage, advice of what needed fixing, etc., etc. So for the actual story in question, I had advised a technician on site that the cameras would constantly false activate and we wouldn't be able to monitor the system properly. This was passed on to the client, who said that it would be fine and to leave it where it was. Had it all recorded, advised that excessive false activations would result in sections of the system being disarmed by us, higher battery costs and increased service calls and so on. The customer says that it's fine, blah blah blah. Finish off the install/setup with the on-site tech, send an email to the supervisor and manager, and place notes in the account. CWA people. One of the main reasons that people chose our company for this particular alarm system is that we won't call people for false alarms, unless requested. The first night of his alarm system and it goes crazy with false alarms. Big surprise. But no calls are made. Customer calls up after reading their alarm report in the morning, demanding to know what we saw on the footage. Trees, trees, more trees, traffic on the road outside the property, etc. and so on. And he asks why we didn't call. Explain to him once again the policies and the procedures for this alarm system, and he demands that we call him on every single activation, as well as call the police if he doesn't answer. I explained to him that the police won't attend with no verification of people on site, and excessive false calls to the police can result in his property being blacklisted by police dispatch until it's proven that the system is no longer causing false call-outs, which can take up to 6 months. And the customer doesn't care. Just do what I'm paying you to do. Okay? We will call you for everything. 7 p.m. rolls around and the system hasn't armed up, cause a client asks them if they are still on site, gets told that they left 2 hours ago, asks us to remote arm it, so we do. And now the fun begins. 5 minutes later he gets his first call. A car driving past on the main road. Hi, it's the Morian from XYZ Alarm Monitoring. We just had a video alarm activation, and this is what we see. The client? Seriously? Fine, I'll go check it out. He didn't ask for the police. Score. Are you sure? It's just traffic driving past. We can keep monitoring and call you for anything else. No, that's okay. I'll go check it out. Just call me on anything further. Okay, just make sure you call us when you get there. Here is our number again. He says he's about 45 minutes away. During that time, he gets another 3 calls, all of them for traffic. Then there is a final activation. Someone climbs over the fence and smacks the camera, knocking it to the ground. Whoa, hold up. Just got real. I asked the person next to me to call the police and I will contact the client. I try calling the client 5 times, leaving a message each time but to no avail. The police had an impressive response time of 5 minutes. Usually it is minimum 15 for that area. And they had the furry missile with them. The missile launcher calls us up and asks for the client's ETA and phone number. We advise him that we cannot get a hold of him. Have left multiple messages and give him his number and his ETA. He advises us that he can see someone moving around and will try calling the client before launching the missile. Well, we wait and wait and wait. We have launch. An all-glorious furry missile. Footage saved, high fives all around, watch it again and again. I wonder when the client will call us back. I got a call about 15 minutes later from the missile launcher. So, that guy we caught on site. Yeah, got it all on camera if you need it. Yeah, going to need that. All records of the alarm from start to finish and any call logs. Sure, I'll grab your details and pass it on to the manager to send it to you. What happened? The guy on site was a client. He's been taken to a hospital for severe lacerations to the arm and leg. What the hell? Don't you guys like to call out heaps of time before releasing the K9? Sure do. He had headphones on while talking to a business partner on his wife's mobile phone because he left his at home. When he saw me coming towards him, he thought I was a robber trying to attack him, so he ran. And I started exploding from laughter inside. On the outside, however, I started explaining to the police officer the entire lead up to him getting there. Well, as long as everything on your end lines up to match that, there will be no issues. Yes sir, I hope the paperwork isn't going to be too bad for you. Have a good night. Thanks, you too. I sent an email to the supervisor and manager advising them of what happened. Put it in the incident log, save all the relevant footage and continue on. The next day the client calls up saying he's going to sue us, etc, etc. The manager had already reviewed everything and played it over and over and over again, laughing harder each time and every time. Manager says he can't stop him from suing, however the evidence all shows that we did exactly what he wanted, and he was at fault for not notifying us that he was on site. Nothing really happened after that. He kept the alarm system but put someone else as a contact for the system. The person that knocked out the camera was him. He did not want to deal with calls all night because it was a busy road. So he decided that the easiest thing to do would be to remove it. He completely forgot that we could disable the camera and didn't tell us what he was going to do. He was on the phone to the business partner to get our phone number to advise us that he was on site, but did not want to wait to call us. Also, the furry missile was fine. Next story. Don't want to pay for your tile work? Fine, I will repossess it. My dad was a master tileman back in the 60s to 90s in Florida. How it worked back then, before cookie-cutter neighborhoods sucked the soul out of entire communities, is that each house was customized through the builder/contractor. The subcontractors like tile, plumbing, electrical, and so on went through the contractor. My dad had a really good reputation as a craftsman, and some people asked for him directly. This particular home was being built by the owner, and he chose all his subcontractors and acted as a contractor himself. Since my dad had the discounts, he purchased the tile himself, then built it back out with the labor after the job was completed. Funny thing though, the owner wasn't in any hurry to pay the bills. Liens were filed, other legal action was threatened by my father and other subcontractors. And my dad had finally had enough, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. The owner's wife, who may or may not have known about the bills not being paid, asked him to come over to reseal some of the tile in the master bathroom. Kinda nervy if you ask me. But Dad showed up, only he didn't have a bucket of sealant with him. He had a hammer and a chisel. Since he'd paid for the tile, he figured it was his, and he started chiseling it out, piece by piece. He knew he'd eat the cost of that tile, but he didn't care. The woman called her husband, who wisely stayed away. The mess made the bathroom completely unusable, of course. But the bittiest part is that he'd already put the word out that this guy did not pay his bills. And believe me, my dad knew everyone in the construction business then. They could not get anyone to come in and redo the bathroom. So the guy had to eat a big helping of humble pie, show up with a check for the full amount owed, plus materials for the new work, and Dad's price per square foot went way up. Christmas was really good that year. Edited to add. I never expected this post to get any sort of attention. Thank you for all the awards and comments. I haven't replied to all of them, but I have read them. And I feel the need to defend my dad, who never threatened the wife and didn't go in swinging a sledgehammer. Tiles can be removed without destroying the walls or floors. It's painstaking, and it's something most tile setters know how to do, especially when a homeowner changes their mind on the tile color mid-installation. That shadow pink looks more like Pepto-Bismol than I thought. Can we change it? My father had a sterling reputation, and he wouldn't have gotten that if he was a violently unhinged individual.